right, everyone. It's a little bit past 8 o'clock now. Can you all hear me? I hope the camera and this microphone can hear me too. So I don't know if the bell, I was waiting for the bell, but I don't know if it goes off at 8 o'clock at night. So we'll just assume that it's time to start. So this is the review session for the exam on Monday. And what I had planned to do for you is to go over a number of the problems in the packet that was distributed recently, and I can also do the same for some problems in the midterm, from the midterm last semester. But before I launch it and do what I feel like doing, I guess I need to hear from you about the topics that most trouble you, or of most interest. So, quantization, yeah, absolutely, that's something. So I'll write them down here. So on the list, quantization, and I think that's one that doesn't have a lot of problems in the packet, so we might have to make some problems out. Other topics? Yes? Alias frequencies, absolutely. Sampling, those alias frequencies, and that's in the topic of sampling. Yes? Well, that would be the priority because we're preparing for midterm 3, but I'd still be willing to, if we have time. You heard yours up there. Do you have other topics that you... Okay, Devin and Norton. You'll definitely need to know about that soon by December. So, yeah, at some point we should do that. Yes? Parity. I'll write some of these things down. Devin and... So, right. Parity. Parity is one that is not on the test because we're only covering up to lecture 32, which was called spectrum sampling and aliasing. So again, we might deprioritize that one. But again, for the final. Okay, so all right, that wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting alias frequencies. So it's good that I did that poll. So I guess let's start with alias frequencies and sampling. So as you know, we don't have a lot of problems on those, but a few was tacked on to the end of this packet. So let me. Well, actually, before I do that, one thing that I wanted to do was flash up these learning objectives up on the camera, so that we can make sure that you do know what is on the test. So there seems to be some confusion about that anyway. So the first lecture that is on the test is lecture 22, which was about logic. So this is some time ago now. We talked about Boolean expressions, truth tables, logic circuits. We talked about the sum of products canonical representation of a truth table as an expression. In lecture 23, we talked about 7-segment displays. And so 7-segment displays are very handy for creating exam questions with, because they're kind of more interesting than, for example, timing diagrams. Then we had the exam review and exam discussions for exam 2. Next up, we talked about binary and hexadecimal arithmetic, as well as certain components like multiplexers and comparators. These were combinational circuits, so they didn't involve memory. In the next lecture, 27, we talked about sequential circuits. We began talking with latches and then flip-flops, so D flip-flops and JK flip-flops, those two being the more important in this category. Then using these memory elements, we considered counters and registers as components that you could build useful things. And also pulse width modulation. By combining counters with comparators, you could get pulse width modulation. Lecture 30, I don't know why there are no learning objectives here. So I don't know why. Maybe we can have it. But it was basically a lecture where we did a bunch of exercises. So maybe that's why. And then 31 and 32 were basically about sampling and quantization. So two lectures that overlap in those two topics. So it seems that most of the questions, or most of the concern today is about those two lectures at the end. But now that I've kind of put that on the camera, are there any other topics that spring to mind? Yes? So say again? Flip-flops, yeah. And yes?
We have lecture 29 and multiplexers.
Lecture 29 and multiplexers. So lecture 29 will count as PWM and multiplexers. Okay, so I'll write those down. So